Okay, hi. A little bit on the synthesis paper, and you have to excuse the way I'm kind of looking because I'm reading over from the other side of my screen to where I'm doing this video on my laptop. But I just want to kind of read through the synthesis paper assignment, which you have had from day one under course information. I believe it's where it's downloaded. And so I want to kind of read it and then talk a little bit about it because it's around this time that you really get confused and you start thinking, oh, what is my paper going to be? And it's a little bit hard to do that because we haven't gone through even half of our readings yet. But a synthesis paper uses a portion of the readings, viewings, and other materials assigned or presented in class to become a single coherent paper answering a key course question. Unlike a research paper, which is usually made up of outside sources and primary material that you find on your own, the synthesis paper uses the sources from our class, although you certainly can use outside sources in addition, not instead of, but in addition. We'll talk about what it means by the material class. While a research paper can address any number of key questions, the goal of the synthesis paper, and this is the key, is to answer the following key question. So, this is what everybody's key question is. There's going to be other things they can do with it, but the key question is, how has the material read or viewed? And the stuff, anything that comes up for this class or that you watch related to this because you went to Hulu or Netflix or some other source where the material is, how is that material read or viewed within this semester? Help me understand the image and or place. Oh my gosh. Oh, I have to change this. I put the wrong one up there. It says motorcycle and American culture because that's another course I do, but just substitute motorcycle with television. I should actually just change it and not put this video up, but hey, some of you, I'm sure a lot of you have seen this, so you're wondering, wait a minute, I didn't see very many. There is a Dick Van Dyke Show episode about a motorcycle, and there's American Chopper, so we could actually do kind of a neat paper, but I will change that. But please, here's the correction for it. It's television and American culture. Hey, if you ever take my motorcycle and American culture class, you'll know how to do a synthesis paper. Okay. While while one might think that using the same set of materials will lead to very similar papers, nothing could be further from the truth, because in addition to answering the question above, one is free to concentrate on a certain theme within the question. Thus, a synthesis paper, if I'm going to assign it, I should be able to pronounce it right. Thus, a synthesis paper that concentrated on gender in television, for example, would draw heavily from Antenna Age, Cold War, and Inside Prime Time, as well as any number of other shows we've watched. Remember, it is fine to add outside sources to your work, so the possibilities are really endless. And I am proud to say, by the way, at least most of this was taken out of the context of the motorcycle course and put back into the television course. For your information, the TV course came first, so actually this was all written for a TV course. I did the motorcycle course and substituted motorcycle for it, but now we're back to a TV course. The only requirement in terms of using the course books is that you engage with and cite in a meaningful way 3 of the book length materials used in class. Now, that's the bare minimum, okay? You have to at least engage with 3 of the book length stuff. Now, we've got a lot of other stuff that isn't book length. We've got articles, we've got things we're viewing, and all of those things are citable sources, and I expect you to use them. But in terms of the books that we have, what do we got, like 6 books in the class, or 7 books in the class, or 5? You have to engage with at least 3 of them in a meaningful way. And that doesn't mean like just one use of one mention of one errant fact in one of the texts. I mean, by meaningful way, I mean that you know, hey, listen, the question is, and another way of approaching even your discussion boards, stuff that you're doing for those, all keyed into these books, to these readings, to these viewings, and things like that. This should help you put together later a synthesis paper. So everything that you're doing in class now really should be helpful to you in the synthesis paper. But the thing is that we aren't even through halfway of the class. We've had like 4 weeks done now, and you know, that's a lot of you are starting to come up with ideas. Well, I'm going to do my paper this way, and that's fine to be thinking that, but it takes a little bit more time. That's the worst part of a class that's based on a synthesis paper as opposed to a research paper. And the reason that it's bad or harder or more difficult is because with the research paper, I could come in this class and know, hey, I love WKRP in Cincinnati, and I'm going to write a paper on the effect of that, you know, for this class. But you can't do that in this class because you have to base your final paper not necessarily on a particular single interest, but on a wider scope. In some ways, it's kind of a wider scope paper. It's almost contrary to everything that you've thought about in terms of a paper of keeping that focus narrow focus. Oh gosh, Sunday evenings are not the best time, I guess, for me to be talking or posting, but I think I just invented some words. Again, there's a good chance that I might redo this, and then there's another chance that I'm just going to leave it this way. But a narrower focus is what we're expecting. The people in Office of Extended Learning, I can't talk today. And I don't know if you can hear that buzz, but that means my laundry's ready. So this video is about to end very quickly. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anyway, what was I saying here? The Office of Extended Learning thought that they kind of liked my videos because they thought it made me look more personable and things like that. Fallible, flawed, human, I don't know, whatever that means. But anyway, I appreciated that comment. So getting back to the synthesis paper, don't worry if you're confused by it. I haven't lost a student yet in terms of not being able to do a synthesis paper, but it's going to take a while before you know exactly what it is that you have to do. Now, you can have a focus on this. If gender is something you're interested in, if technology of television is something you're interested in, if the radio roots of it are something you're interested in, if the economics of television are something you're interested in, you will find stuff in the books. And every time I did a synthesis paper, I was always able to turn it to the areas of my interest. So, like, I could be in an American history class, and the second part of my American history overview course that I did in my PhD program, and I tied that all into television because television was my interest. But I used the books, and this is the value, the biggest value of the synthesis paper. I don't do it because it's difficult intentionally. That's not the reason to do it. I do it because I put these books in here for a reason. I do have a rhyme or reason for the things that I'm asking you and that I'm showing you, because I think that they give us a wide view of television and all kinds of different aspects. And then I want to see how you integrate that, right? Because the biggest part of learning really is how we integrate the information that we learn. Okay, it isn't necessarily that we just have to tell a story. And keep in mind, this is not a history class. This is part of a cultural studies class. And so in cultural studies, you're going to do stuff that's much more analytical. You're not going to necessarily be reporting as much as you're evaluating, basically, what these authors have said and how has that informed you, right? So it's citation, it's analytical, it's also reflection, but ultimately, most of the learning that we do in whatever we're doing is a synthesis of the material that we've had before. But that doesn't mean it's going to be a copycat paper or anything like that. It's going to be uniquely your own, because you are the only one who can answer that question in that particular way of what these readings, how these readings, plus other readings you've done, if you choose to bring those in, have informed your opinion on television and American culture. And again, you can put a special focus on it if you want. You don't have to, but you can, and I think those make for interesting papers as well. Very quickly, $4.99 says 8 to 10 pages, and those taking it for $5.98 will do at least 15 pages. There is no end page limit. In other words, if you want to do a 100-page paper, which I don't know if you do, but if you want to, I'll read it. I won't say, hey, you went over this. And paper should be presented 12-point font of some standard font, typed and double-spaced, and my computer hid away for a moment, so I don't even know what was on the screen. I'm going to have to review this. I'm going to have to seriously think about not using this, but I know I'm going to because I'm just too lazy to make another one. But anyway, we were talking about that can be an MLA or Chicago style. I don't do APA, and the only reason I don't do APA is because historians and cultural studies people tend to use either MLA or Chicago style. For historians out there, that'd be the Kate Turabian style. For everyone else, the Chicago style is just using footnotes as opposed to using MLA, but either is going to be fine. Paper goes without saying, should be well written, use smooth transitions, have good introduction and conclusion, all the elements of a good paper. So those are the things that we want to look for. Anyway, this video has gone on really long. It's my most embarrassing, but I think if you look between the embarrassing moments, you will find some very valuable information on this paper. I'm going to put up a discussion board that says synthesis paper as the name of the form. Put it up close to the top. And if you have questions, go ahead and ask, and feel free to respond to others' questions if you think you have this. There's a few people in this class who have taken courses from me before, and I think have done synthesis papers before. So, okay, well, I'll review this, and I may or may not put it up. If I don't, you'll never know that. But if I do, that's pretty interesting. Okay.